Well, today the Reserve Bank of Australia confirmed that Australia's economic recovery is well underway. The Reserve Bank has upgraded their forecasts for Australia's economic growth and for our labour market. And this followed positive economic data this week. We saw today consumer confidence increase for the 9th straight week to take consumer confidence levels back to where it was in early March. We've also seen job ads up this month by more than 9%, and we've also seen loan approvals up by 5.9%, with particularly strong numbers for new loan approvals for new home construction, off the back of the Home Builder program and other government incentives. The decision by the Reserve Bank of Australia today to cut the cash rate down to 10 basis points and to target the 3-year bond yield at 10 basis points complements the economic support that the Morrison government has provided the Australian economy. The Reserve Bank made it very clear in their statement today that their moves today complement what the Morrison government announced in this year's budget, particularly supporting job creation and our economic recovery. We have committed as a government some $507 billion, both in direct economic support and balance sheet support. That's the equivalent of around 26% of GDP, and it's in stark comparison to just a 3% of GDP commitment by the states, and that's all the states put together. So we realise that today's announcement will reduce the cost of borrowing, and today's announcement by the Reserve Bank will reduce the cost of borrowing and is good news for households, good news for small businesses, and it will complement what the Morrison government has already undertaken to support job creation across the economy. It's my expectation that the banks will now look for ways to pass on those rate cuts, pass it on to small businesses and pass it on to mortgage holders. Are there any questions?
We've got Steve from Channel 9. Please.
Okay.
Steve?
This is actually Emma, her colleague from Channel 9 Treasury.
Hi, Emma.
Thank you. My question is, if this is passed on in full by the commercial banks, as you are hoping, what would it mean for someone with a $400,000 mortgage, for example?
Well, someone with a $400,000 mortgage, which is about the average mortgage across the country, the combination of what we've seen from early this year to today's announcement, when it's come down from about 75 basis points down to just 10 basis points, that's worth about $1,000 a year to somebody with a mortgage of that size. Some of the banks have already priced in today's announcement by the Reserve Bank. It had been highly forecast and highly expected. That being said, the banks no doubt will look for other ways to pass on this lower cost of borrowing for them, whether it's for small business loans or whether it's for fixed mortgage rates as well.
Jen?
Yes, Jen from 7 News. Leader says that the Reserve Bank has to step in and do the heavy lifting because the Morrison government's not doing enough. Is that correct? And is this a vote of no confidence in your handling of the recession?
Sorry, who said that?
Sorry, it's Jen from 7 News.
But who put that proposition?
Labor, the Shadow Treasurer Jim Chalmers.
Well, if Jim Chalmers was a horse, he'd be running in a Group 3 and coming last. And he would be put out to pasture, which probably would be the best course of action for his leader, Anthony Albanese, right now. The reality is no one's listening to him. What they're focused on is the measures in the budget. And the budget supported job creation across the country. We've seen in the last 4 months, 446,000 jobs being created. 60% of those jobs have gone to women, 40% have gone to young people. We saw consumer sentiment up in the budget month by 11.9%. That was the single biggest increase in consumer sentiment in a budget month since the series began back in 1974. And today we've heard again that consumer confidence has been on the rise 9 straight weeks.